Everyone keeps talking about how the financial system is changing, faster payments, digital currencies, new rules, new money. But very few people actually understand who's building this new system and what it really looks like behind the scenes. Most of the time, people think of crypto or central banks or the IMF. But the real story starts somewhere else, at an institution that almost never appears in the headlines, but quietly coordinates the rules for the entire global financial system. That institution is the Bank for International Settlements, or BIS. And what they're building right now is called Project Nexus, a plan to connect every national payment system into one global network. Now, that might sound like another fancy financial experiment, but it's much bigger than that. This project isn't about creating a new digital currency. It's about connecting all the payment systems that already exist and making them talk to each other instantly. Here's the problem they're trying to solve. Today, every country runs its own instant payment network. Europe has TIPS, India has UPI, Singapore has PayNow, and dozens of others are popping up everywhere. They all work fast inside their own borders, but they don't communicate across borders. If you send money internationally, it still goes through a slow maze of intermediaries, banks, correspondent networks, currency exchanges, and sometimes even manual verification. That's why international transfers are expensive and can take days. Project Nexus is designed to remove that friction completely. Instead of building a brand new system, BIS wants to link all the existing ones using standardized software, APIs, and communication rules. Think of it as a global translator for money. Each country keeps its own language, its currency, its system, but Nexus acts like the translator that lets everyone understand each other instantly. In Latin, Nexus literally means connection. And that's exactly what it is, a connector between all national payment systems. BIS has already tested this idea in the real world. In 2023, they ran a live pilot between Singapore, Malaysia, and the Eurozone. The test worked. Money moved instantly between people in different countries without using SWIFT and without touching any cryptocurrency. That last part is important because on social media, you always hear people say, look, BIS is using XRP, it's the bridge. But in the actual BIS documents, the word XRP doesn't appear once. The bridge isn't a token, it's the infrastructure itself. The protocol that links payment systems together. That's what BIS is building. Each country will still use its own domestic payment system, like UPI, TIPS, PayNow, but they'll all connect through the Nexus framework. It's like creating the Internet of Payments. Each system is a local server, and Nexus is the global router. Once connected, cross-border payments could happen in seconds, with automatic currency conversion and settlement. No middlemen, no overnight delays, no redundant checks. For the average person, it means you could send money from India to Germany as easily as sending a text message. For businesses, it means instant trade settlement. And for governments, it means real-time visibility of money flows across borders. Now, you might be thinking that sounds amazing. So what's the catch? The catch is control. When payments become instant and global, the data behind those payments becomes centralized. That means the institutions managing the rails, in this case, the central banks and the BIS, will see, track, and potentially control how liquidity moves. This is why Project Nexus isn't just a technology upgrade, it's a power shift. Think about it. If the BIS can coordinate how 60 or 70 countries link their payment systems, that means they can synchronize liquidity. They can make money flow like data across the internet, but also control the switches that turn that flow on or off. That's what makes Nexus so interesting. It's not a new currency, but it changes how currencies interact. It's like moving from many separate rivers to one connected ocean. And once that ocean exists, you can manage global liquidity in real time. This is why the IMF, the World Bank, and even the G20 are quietly aligning their strategies with BIS initiatives. They know that whoever controls the infrastructure controls the system. And yes, blockchain technology influenced this design, but not in the way crypto investors imagine. BIS isn't replacing banks with crypto. They're adopting crypto's best ideas: instant settlement, transparent ledgers, programmable transactions, and building them inside the regulated system. That's what they mean by a hybrid infrastructure. Traditional banking rails on one side, digital settlement layers on the other. Together, they form a programmable global network for money. It's basically the same logic behind ISO 20022, the new international messaging standard that SWIFT and most central banks are migrating to. All these systems, SWIFT GPI, ISO 20022, Project Nexus, are pieces of the same puzzle. They make financial messages richer, faster, and machine-readable, so different systems can process them without human intervention. This shift isn't just about efficiency, it's about automation and synchronization. When you standardize the way every bank communicates, you create the foundation for global liquidity management. That's why BIS calls Project Nexus a common blueprint. They want every country's instant payment system built according to that blueprint, so they can all connect like puzzle pieces. And once enough countries adopt it, you won't need a middleman to move money anymore. The systems will move it themselves. Now, imagine this on a global scale. A payment from Brazil to Japan could route automatically through Singapore or Europe, based on whichever path is fastest. Exchange rates, compliance checks, and settlement all handled by code in milliseconds. Sounds futuristic, right? But that's exactly what BIS is testing right now. They've already confirmed that 60% of the world's population lives in countries with active or planned participation in this model. That means we're closer to a unified global payment layer than most people think. So what happens to SWIFT then? Well, SWIFT is part of the transition, not the competition. While BIS builds Nexus, SWIFT is upgrading to ISO 20022, which makes their messages compatible. At some point, both networks could interoperate. SWIFT for high-value transactions, Nexus for retail and instant transfers. That's why the big picture isn't crypto versus banks anymore. It's old rails merging with new rails. Crypto is the prototype, Nexus is the institutional version. And that's the irony. The dream of borderless, instant money transfer is finally happening, just not in the decentralized way many expected. The BIS doesn't need a global cryptocurrency. They just need to connect all the local systems that already exist. Once connected, they can achieve the same effect, instant global liquidity, but under their own control. So when people online say the financial system is resetting, that's not entirely wrong. But it's not a collapse or a replacement. It's more like a software update, a shift from disconnected systems to one coordinated network. Project Nexus isn't about starting over. It's about connecting what's already there. And that connection changes everything: how we send money, how liquidity moves, and who ultimately has control. The future of finance won't be one single currency. It'll be a web of currencies linked by shared infrastructure. And the BIS is quietly building that web right now. So the next time someone says XRP is the bridge, you can tell them the truth. The real bridge is the infrastructure itself. And it's already being built.